Glad you.
Okay. Anyway, my name is John Whitney. Let me give you kind of a little background. I've been in the heating business, heating AC business since like this high. Grew up in it, so I'm somewhat knowledgeable. Was introduced to this technology about 10 years ago. It was their first attempt at it. Now we're in the third generation. This technology isn't new. It's new to the States. It's been here for, actually, since I've been involved in it, 10 years. It's been in Europe now for a little over 30 years. Of course, they're always ahead of us in energy efficiency. This technology, well, let's talk about what it isn't. Okay. What it isn't is conduction. There's three types, basically, of heating. There is conduction, there is radiant, which this is what this is, and then convection. Everything coming out of here, if it was heat, it's convection. If you have baseboard, that's convection. And the reason for that is it heats the air, it moves air. Air is the medium for which it delivers the heat. Okay? Infrared is not. It's not conduction, which is surface to surface. It is not convection, which it does not heat the air. It heats objects, and we get up to radiant. Now, this is kind of a misnomer. When I put that thing together, that was about the only thing I could find. But it's similar to the sun, but it doesn't have, it's in a wavelength, it's invisible light is what far infrared is. How many of you seen red heat lamps? Okay, bathrooms, at Denny's to keep the food warm. Okay, that's not far infrared. If you can see it, it is not far infrared. It is in the invisible light spectrum. Now, having said that, invisible infrared light, this, as with all radiant systems, now some of you are familiar with the warm floors, okay, where you heat the floors, and that's radiant. Even that heats objects. Okay, it'll heat us, it'll heat the furniture. Unfortunately, what it does, it's from the ground up, and it'll heat everything underneath instead of from the top down. These work better from the top down because you get a bigger footprint. Yes?
How is it different than electric heating and cooling?
Well, not much different. Thanks for asking. My very first condo was out in Isla Vista, and they had the sheetrock that had the wires in it, okay, and that was radiant heating. The difference is between this and that type of heating is the temperature. Anything, and the sheetrock was the panel, all right, with the wire, and we get into PTC metals and NTC metals and so forth, but suffice it to say, that's usually hotter than these panels. You need, for it to be truly far infrared, you need to be in that light spectrum of 7,500 to 10,000 nanometers. That's the wavelength. Now, that's generally about 250 degrees or less. The hotter, the more you get above the 250, the wavelength shortens and becomes near infrared, which is not that healthy for you. Okay, so this is in about the 7,500 to 10,000 nanometer length. We're kind of getting ahead of myself, but basically what this does, it heats objects. Now, the best place for these panels here, and we can go over the different types of installation, is on the ceiling. And what do you think the very first question I get asked when I say, put them on the ceiling, they work better?
So they blow up.
You're right.
No. Who said that?
He rises.
Correct. Now, that's a misnomer. Heat doesn't rise. Hot air rises. See the difference? Now, if heat rose, we'd be in an ice age. Plain and simple, because the sun wouldn't heat our planet. Radiant heating, this type of heating, because it's 14 feet or less ceiling height, because the farther you get away from it, the less intensity. But if it's mounted on the ceiling, well, picture this as a big flat light bulb. Okay? Here you got a panel, it's a big flat light. So anything it's shining on, it's going to heat. Okay? And that generally most people can think of it that way. But if it's in the ceiling, you have a bigger footprint. It's going to heat more objects, it's going to heat us better, and so forth. So, and again, a good example is the sun, which is radiant heat. But, as we'll see in the near future here, the sun is in a different wavelength. And that also includes UV light waves, which is harmful and all that. And I can show you, go through all of that. Radiant heating, again, heats objects. It'll heat the floor, chairs, us. Now I brought my infrared camera and I can show you how this works. It will actually detect the infrared waves. You can actually see it on my screen. And I can go over that with everyone. So, and here's the spectrum. And this right here is visible light. What we want is right in here. And that's the 7,500 to 10,000 nanometers. You notice where this is the 750 nanometer length here. You know it's just right at the edge of the visible. This is where we want to be right here. And it's invisible light. Does everybody understand that, how that works? Okay, basically it's just a bunch of photons. It's either going to get the surface is either going to absorb it or it's going to bounce off of it. Either way, that surface is going to get heated. The optimum is having it absorb, having the surface absorb this heat, and then it immediately gives it off. Or it absorbs, absorbs the light waves, and then immediately gives off its heat. Okay? Again, 7,500 nanometer length. And that actually gets into the therapeutic range. I've heard, now I wasn't there to witness it, but I've heard, we've had these panels in extended care facilities where they have T-bar ceilings and they were just laying them in the T-bar ceiling. But I've heard, again, haven't seen it personally, where people were in wheelchairs because of the pain of arthritis and things like that, were actually able, after a period of time of being in this facility and being heated by this infrared, where actually the pain was less, were actually able to get out of their wheelchairs and walk around. Okay, now, like Dan, my house is heated with these panels. I don't even know if my furnace works because I haven't used it in 4 years. And I can tell you why I changed it out, just because I have propane and it's so expensive. But anyway, I have one of these panels set up right behind my desk on a wall. And I feel, and it's no joke, I feel better at the end of the day. If I'm in the office all day, I feel better at the end of the day than when I got out of bed. And it's amazing. Of course, that's my experience with it. They've been using, Japan actually has been using this far infrared technology for therapy for hundreds of years. We didn't invent it, all right? We are just marketing it here. And it's also really green and we can do that too. Okay? This is, like I said, say if this was the panel here, it's going to, like a big light bulb, it's whatever it shines on is either going to be absorbed or reflected off of. Okay? And that's basically it. There's really not a whole lot to it. Yeah?
Does it matter what kind of flooring you have, for instance, tile versus carpet?
Tile, anything, okay. For instance, if it's going to reflect off of it, it's really going to have to be something shiny, like a piece of stainless steel or shiny. Even actually stainless steel, if it's brushed stainless steel, it will actually get absorbed. It won't reflect off. But if you have like a bumper, a chrome bumper, it will reflect off of that. Okay, and that actually shows up on my infrared. I've done inspections and anyway. Anything porous, It does heat, one of the nice things, especially with tile, it will heat the tile, okay? So, but again, you're kind of in a area where you have to be like 14 feet or less. Now, kind of, that's a little side note, I have, in my house, I don't have, it's more or less a flat roof, it's maybe 212, but very little attic, and it's not accessible. So I've had to put all of my panels on the walls, and all of my panels are artwork. And I'm really into black and white. I love retro kind of stuff. So anytime anybody comes in, they look at the artwork, they like it, and then I tell them to heat the house, and they're like, no, really? But, so it's better up on the ceiling, it's good up on the wall, it's really not going to do you any good if you mount it down below, okay, because it's just going to heat down here. But since I have I think they're about, about 6 feet high, and it works fine. Now, all of mine, since I didn't wire them in, and again, we can go over that as far as how to install them, but they all come with a plug, and how I've done it, I might have one here, I'll pull it out, but I have receptacle type thermostats. I don't know if anybody's ever seen those. They're programmable thermostats, and they're made for heating, mostly for portable heaters. People have portable heaters that they plug in, and it's a thermostat. It'll go on and off based on what temperature you set it at. And those are all at my house. This is what's controlling my panels, are these thermostats. Work great. They're programmable. I don't have to think about it. They just do it. Health benefits. Now, one of the things that, because people, and I'm hoping I don't get this wrong, but people have asked me, well, how can it be beneficial health-wise? What ends up happening is it creates far infrared, as your body absorbs it. It actually it can absorb into your skin about inch and a half. Okay, it really can penetrate. And again, our bodies actually produce far infrared. I don't know if anybody knew that, and I can show you on my camera that if people shine on me, they call me a hothead, but that shows up on the camera as red. But anyway, so what it does is it sets up a vibration, and the molecules in your bloodstream set up a vibration, and by doing so, it acts almost like a vasodilator. It will dilate your blood vessels and get more oxygenated blood to where it's needed. Joints, you name it. Okay, and that's how that works therapeutically. And if you've ever sat in a far infrared sauna, it works the same way. Different technology, but basically the same thing. Okay, it's just amazing how this works. Now, here's kind of an idea of the costs relative to the lifespan of different products. Okay, you've got our panels here, 50 years plus, electric baseboard, and go on and look at the cost, not only to install but to operate. These are combined numbers. Okay, you notice geothermal. Who knows what's the most efficient system you can possibly have in your house? What do you think that might be?
Heat pump?
You're almost there. Geothermal. Okay, and what that does is it's usually a ground source heat pump, water to air heat pump, whatever you use for that outdoor medium to circulate your refrigerant and all that. But basically, it's just a heat pump. Okay, but instead of having an outdoor unit, it uses the ground, or it may use a pool if you have that. But look at the cost to install a geothermal is almost prohibitive, especially if you get into areas like Santa Barbara where it's really mild climate. You don't have highs and lows like you would say in Minnesota. It's really big over there, and of course our panels are too. But to install, say, a geothermal, you're looking at probably $50,000 to do. Okay, are you going to get that back on your investment? Heck no, not over the life of that equipment. You're not. That's why steel panels are so much better. Now, I'll show you the next, I think it's the next one. Let's see, we can go back. There it is. Okay. Look at the efficiency comparison. Okay. Geothermal number one. But, of course, that's going to cost you dearly. Next one down, radiant panels. As far as the most efficient and least cost to operate. And look where we're at. And think about this too, oil furnace. I've dealt with tons of those. But think about also what it's doing to the environment. Okay, we're talking not green. If you saw anything coming out of a big diesel pickup or a big diesel truck, that's the same thing out of an oil furnace. Okay, radiant geothermal basically is the greenest, unless you have a refrigerant leak. Okay, but it's not going to add to the greenhouse gases. Same thing with radiant panels. Now, I put radiant panels in here because, instead of steel panels, because there are other manufacturers of radiant panels. I'm going to be upfront with you. The only difference is this, and this is where we get into how long it's going to last and how safe it is. This is what's inside our panels. Okay, this is French thin film. Okay? Now the reason it's got this circles around it is their testing is phenomenal. Each panel like this goes through a whole bunch of tests, and they look at it through some kind of a lighting thing that looks up, and they can see all of the little deflections and problems, and they'll 86 them if they find it. The quality control is just phenomenal. Now, other panels, and I've had actually the opportunity to represent another brand of infrared panels. After about 6 months of dealing with these people, dropped it. And I actually, they're manufactured in Olympia. Ours is manufactured in Spokane. Their product is so antiquated. It is similar to what I think you suggested with the wires in the sheetrock. What they do is they tape wires to the back of the panel. That's their medium, okay? And I mentioned earlier PTC versus NTC metals. PTC stands for positive temperature coefficient, meaning the power going in is all the power it's going to use. With NTC, which is negative temperature coefficient, they have to have some kind of mechanical device to regulate how much power those panels use. Okay? And if that mechanical device ever malfunctions, it'll race away. It'll be an oncoming train, because there's nothing to stop it except for when it starts a fire and burns the wires. Right? That's why I dropped it. Yeah.
So there's no overtemp protection on this thing?
No, there is. UL made us put in a high limit switch for protection. If something was to ever happen, and so far out of the thousands of panels we've not only manufactured and installed and produced, we've had one panel go bad, and that's this one.
What was the cause of it to go bad?
That goes back, a connection. We had, in this particular serial number of panels, we weren't putting them together. This was probably 5, 6 years ago. And there's a connection at the film right here. This connection right here, that was faulty. And it would burn out. And that was because they were hiring all temp workers, and they were just, they didn't care about their job. So we've taken over all of that. So the quality control is there. But that was the problem. It was the connectors. It wasn't anything else. Now, with that high limit, yes, it is mechanical. The high limit switch, if it ever gets to a point where that high limit switch has to kick in and break the circuit, break the current, it's a one-time deal. All right? So it's not one of these that open and close and control the amount of electricity that you use. Now, I'll be here for the entire day. I have a wattage meter on here, and I can plug one of these panels in and they can show you what it starts out at. Now that 2x2 panel, the one with the canyon, the artwork on it, that's a 2x2 panel that's 400 watts. Now what will happen is it'll draw in the beginning 400 watts and it'll drop off to about 375 watts and stay there. It's just amazing how this works. And the only thing that's regulating it is that French thin film. It's PTC metal. Okay, it's just phenomenal. At any rate, so we're looking at cost, not only installation but operation here. Okay, this is really important too. LED qualified. Our panels are the only ones, as far as I know, that are LED qualified. You can get your bronze, silver, gold, whatever you want your building to be, whatever you go after, and this will add to it. Okay. 25 years development. No, it's actually over. Yeah, more than 25 years. This is actually, like I said, been in Europe for over 30 years. They're always ahead of us in energy efficiency. We bought the rights. I say we. The manufacturer bought the rights and brought it over to the United States. Okay, where we now manufacture not only for us, but we manufacture and ship to Europe. We bought those rights as well. And that is because we wanted to control the quality. That's the whole reason for that. Okay. The other competitors, there's going to be the two other type of infrared panels are going to be one of two things. Number one, it's going to be carbon-based, where they have a big flat metal and they put this paste on it and they heat the paste up, and that's what creates the infrared. Okay, that's NTC. They've got to have a slew of mechanical devices in there to regulate the electricity. The next one is what I said earlier, the wires. Okay, those wires burn out. They get like a 5-year warranty because they know they're going to burn out. And I've actually watched them manufacture these things. And it's like, that's why I got out of it. I don't want anything to do with that kind of product. So, based on French thin film, it's not wires, it's not carbon-based in any way. And this is what's in it. You've got your film, and this is something else that's important. You have your film, and you have your insulation. Now, because we do so many medical facilities, this is wool insulation. You notice how thick it is? It's like 1/4 inch. All the other panels will have at least 1 inch of fiberglass insulation in them. And some of them are glass, they're going to be heavy, they break, so forth and so on. But this is wool insulation. And the reason why we did that is because all of the panels, all the other panels that use fiberglass, they leak. And you cannot have that in a surgical room. Okay, just no. These don't leak, not with the wool insulation. And another side note that I'm not sure if it's 99% still, but at one time it was all 99% recycled material. I think it's like closer to 95% now that we use. Okay, which is important. So you got your panel, you've got your film, you've got your insulation, you've got your back panel, and so forth. And I can show you the installation brackets and all that. Okay, so there's really not that much to it. This is where you'll find French thin film. Okay, and one of the things that we're working on right now is we're working on with Canada. Canada has, I believe, all of their buses, public transportation up there, if not all, are electric. So, and they've been having trouble with trying to heat the buses, especially when it's 20 degrees below zero. So we're working on some prototypes right now to include our film to heat the buses, and so far we've been really successful. Now we have to work on costs and trying to figure out what the best way to go is. But how many of you have heated mirrors in your car? Nobody? The side mirrors? Heated mirrors? Okay, well, anyway, it's thin film.
Yeah,
What's that?
It's edible.
Yeah, that's true.
We
Probably
probably
never
have it, we just don't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right, they have it.
Yeah. So, and there it is. Got the mirror right there. That's what they use is thin film to do it, because it's not very expensive at all. It's safe, so forth and so on. Now, here's another thing too. We've done, especially in Santa Ynez, we had one project in Santa Ynez where we did a bunch of horse stalls with panels, especially for horses that are getting up there in years, have arthritis and so forth. How much this has helped them. Just, it's amazing. There's no, anything you need heat, there's not an application that this can't fill. We have, now that, especially office building managers, owners, have put these in because they want to save money. How many times have you been in an office environment and one person over here, even though the thermostat set at 68, one person's over here freezing.
Right.
One person over here is really hot. Okay, so this person over here that's really cool is going to bring in that 1,500 watt portable heater. Okay, you get enough of those, and you're going to start tripping breakers. And so we developed one just about this size here that you can mount on the privacy panel up underneath your desk, and it regulates that way. And it only draws 250 watts versus 1,500 watts. It's safe. If you knock it over, of course you can if it's mounted to the privacy panel. If you knock it over, you're not going to have a fire problem, nothing like that. So a lot of the owner managers are recommending this.
Is it used for wing de-icing?
What's that?
Is it used for wing de-icing on aircraft?
Yes, it is. You're right. That's exactly what it's used for. It's for de-icing. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, and then we're developing, there's so many other products that we're developing that can use this thin film application. I can't go over them with you because they're proprietary right now, but it's safe to say that they'll be coming out in the next probably year and a half or so. This is a student housing project in San Diego that they put, it's got a central heating and air conditioning unit that serves all of the rooms. But they wanted the students to be able to control the heat. So what they did is they put as supplemental, of course now they use it as their main heating source, supplemental they put panels in all of the rooms with thermostats. They saved they did a study on it, and I think after 3 years they saved per room, I think it was like $20 or $25 a month per room. Now, you multiply that by how many rooms there are in here, it's phenomenal, and it's a healthier heat, too. We went over the efficiency on that. These are some of the ways you can mount it with the artwork, and the next one has more artwork on it.
So can you pick the artwork?
Yes.
Okay, so it can be your favorite picture.
You can, if you have a high def picture that you took with your camera, give it to us and we can transfer it. Or you can select from, I think it's 350 different types now of artwork. Okay. So these are just happen to be up on the wall here. This is our most famous. I think this is who's that famous artist? That's our favorite. The next most one is the turtle. Yeah, that's the second most favorite. Okay, so these kind of give you an idea of what's available here. Okay, I have this one, and I have this is the San Francisco fire. I have Brooklyn Bridge, and there's some other black and white ones I have. I just love those. So kind of give you an idea of what's available. Now, the sizes for these, 2 by 2, okay? Standard colors are white or black. There is an extra charge for the artwork, but this is, and most people worry about it fading or getting damaged in some way, this is the same process, it's powder coated. It's just the same process that car manufacturers use. Okay? So it's pretty tough. And it'll never fade. I mean, it's there for good. Okay, of course, you can't dance on top of it, but, you know.
So what are the prices?
What's that?
What are the prices?
Retail prices for a 2x2 white or black are $373 each. Okay? That's for 120 or 240. Yes?
After you install them, how hard is it to uninstall them if you want to pick that up?
Really good question. A lot of people are, especially dorm rooms, we have had a lot of students or parents of the students buy them because you mount it to the wall with these brackets here. You got 2 brackets, one going on each side, and you clip the panel. Actually, I just upside down. Just like this. Okay? They clip in. They've got earthquake clips already built in because we got to satisfy California. All right? Pretty simple. If you want to take it with you, take these off the wall and it's good to go. And you don't, there's nothing damaging that. Yeah?
How big of an area does a 2x2 heat?
Good question. It's all about wattage. 2x2 is 400 watts. I have a guest room that is 10 by 12, 120 square feet. One panel works perfect in that. Okay. The
How
room.
large was it, your room?
What's that?
How large was the room?
120 square feet, 10 by 12.
How long does it take to do that? An average room like that?
The experience I've had takes about for
I mean, obviously, the hotter you go, the longer, but.
yeah,
you know,
from a 55 temperature up to 68, I think it took 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah. So, which is actually better than a lot of forced air systems. And how we got into this was, we started with the supplemental market. Somebody would put an add-on bedroom or add-on office, and the heating contractor, me or whoever, didn't get it right as far as sizing the ducts to that area. They would put one of these in. And that's how we got started. Then we decided, well, why are we just staying to one room? Why can't we just heat everything out? And then it just exploded from there.
So are they plugged in?
These are. Now you can, depending on the installation, there's a lot of jobs that I've sold that put them on the ceiling permanent. And then they have wall thermostats and so forth. And they had an electrician come in and hardwire them. Okay? They all come with a 6-foot pigtail. Mount it on the wall and plug it in. All right? Or, depending on the voltage, you can have any kind of a wiring arrangement. But most of the time, if they, on 120 volt, if you want to mount them on the ceiling, have them permanent, what happens is the electrician will put in a receptacle that is controlled by a thermostat or whatever. You mount it to the ceiling and plug it in. It's really that simple. There's nothing that to it at all.
Does the company do anything like with like food or cooking or anything? Or
We're trying to stay out of that.
Okay.
That get
Whole nother.
into a whole, yeah, a
Okay.
whole bunch of liability on that.
Okay.
As far as keeping that. But basically, that's it. Yes.
So like for a guest house, which is like a large room, you could just buy a panel, plug in a
You're
regular
done.
outlet,
You're done.
and then you just buy one of those. How do you see the temperature?
Yeah, I'll pull that out
Oh.
out of my box and I can show you what it looks like. Okay.
So
But
it hangs on the wall, you see the wire hanging down?
no, because you can put it up behind it. Okay. What I have in some of my rooms is I have the wire that goes down, but I have the chase that covers it. You've probably seen that with people that have artwork and a light. Yeah, the same kind of thing. Okay. Yes.
Question, how hot is it to touch?
About 220 degrees.
So
Now-
if you have kids
Well,
or
okay.
infants,
To get our UL approval or UL listing, now the other panels, other manufacturers cannot hang them on the wall. We're the only manufacturer that can hang them on the wall. 6 feet or lower, whereby it's going to be warm, it's going to be hot when you touch it, but you're not going to get burned. Now, if you leave it there, of course, and they thought of that. They thought of okay, what happens if a kid, well, if you mount them at 6 feet, you're not going to touch it anyway. Okay, they can't get up that far. But that's how we got the UL listing, is because it's about 220 degrees or less.
So if you're saying you can put it underneath somebody's desk, what about burning their leg then?
Those are different, okay? Those don't get as hot. They only have 200, I think it's 200 or 250 watts, okay? But they're designed not to get that hot. And they're also regulated to where it's like a little thermostat. You can regulate it how hot you want it, okay? They've thought of all that. We don't want to sell panels that'll burn you, I mean, obviously. Yeah.
At some point, would you, if those panels are on, would people be able to like go up, walk up to them or touch them or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll plug one in.
Okay.
Yeah, and everybody can come up and take a look.
I think the, it's not plugged in?
No, I think I plugged in the artwork.
Okay.
But I can
So
plug
we're
it
gonna
in.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Fair
So,
enough.
I want, first, thank you, John, thank you very much. And thank you, Michael, because I want to say something. We'll take a little break in just a minute, before we get Lindsay up here, and you guys can ask him a question. The main thing is that he will be here after Lindsay's through, and you can ask him all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
But I want to just give you a practical application, and you can use this story if you want to.
Sure.
Okay? So, we've been using these things in our house for a couple of years now. And when it started getting really cold out, Michael said, well, that's great that you turned off the heating, central heating in the house, but what am I, chopped liver? I've got a really cold bedroom, and it's like freezing in here. And I went, yeah, okay, I'm taking this thing out from underneath my desk, which was that size, and this is not plugged in right now, but this is how long you could put your hand on there. About that long ago, oh, that's kind of hot, and take it off. Okay, so if a kid put their hand on there, they would know, I'm not going to leave my hand on that. It's not like something would burn it immediately. So I talked to Maria, my wife, back here, doing the registration. And I said, okay, we got a little problem. Michael needs heat. We've got this 1,800 watt oil heater that you roll around from Home Depot from room to room, or from wherever, okay? It's in the bathroom. She uses it in the morning when she gets ready to go to work, takes a shower. She's up at 3 o'clock in the morning, bless her heart. A couple days a week, we've got to get her retired from that. And she says, well, you know, Dan, I don't really like that 1,800 watt heater because it takes an hour before it really heats up that bathroom, and by that time I've taken my shower and I'm out of there. I'm off to work. That's like useless. I said, okay, let's take this out from underneath my desk, which it wasn't burning me, but it is a little bit warmer if you had it confined. You've got a lot of heat coming up and you kind of go, it's too hot. So you'd probably want something a little bit smaller. But in any case, it was great at my desk. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put it in the bathroom. Now, we've got a number of these things. We don't hook them up in the walls at all. We've even had them sitting on carpet, and they've never damaged the carpet. Now, he would say, oh, you know, don't do that. But we've done it, and it hasn't damaged the carpet. It never burned anything. It never got that hot. We got carpet out of our house now, because you know how bad carpet can be. So in any case, I put one of those in our bathroom, and I gave Maria a week or two. And after that, I said, okay, now tell me, this is 400 watts. The 1,800 watt heater we were rolling around, it's 1,800 watts. What's the difference on the heat? Do you like this, yes or no, or would you rather have the other one back? She said, are you kidding me? She goes, it took an hour for the 1,800 one to heat up the room. I plugged this thing in, and it's like the sun is shining on me immediately, because this doesn't heat up the room, it heats up you. It heats up objects. So you're not even looking to heat up the room. Imagine getting out of a jacuzzi, and you were hot from the jacuzzi, and you walked out into a cold house. You could walk around for 20 minutes to a half hour before you felt like, well, now I'm getting cold. Well, that's what this heat does. It heats you up. So as long as you're kind of close to them, they just keep heating you up. So I just take these things and move them from room to room. So she said, I'd much rather have this, because I would get warm immediately. And that's, you'd have to have 4 of these in that bathroom, and it would still be, that's 1,600 watts. It's still less than the 1,800 watt roll-around she had. And all she needed was 1. So, you know, you don't even hook them up on the wall. You could.
One other quick little note, and this is what I did with it. I helped design this one with the manufacturer. I bought an RV here a couple years ago, and I decided, well, you know, that little 12-volt heater just ain't going to cut it. So I went to the manufacturer and said, what can we do? So we designed this size with those brackets to be mounted to the wall for RVs. I now have 4 of these in my RV. My RV is 26 or 28 feet. I have 4 of these in. Works perfect. Why not have the park pay for that electricity?
Yeah.
You know. But these, oh, it's so much better. Anyway, so that's available for RVs too.
Yeah, last question.
One quick question, I got here late, you might have covered it. Are those, have any kind of a timer where you can set it and?
It's whatever you want.
You go to Home Depot, grab one, plug it into it, do your own
Yeah.
time.
Little wine.
It's whatever you want.
They've even got thermal things where they can say, oh, it's up to this temperature, we're gonna turn it off. Home Depot, $20.
Anyway, I think I have one, so if anybody's interested, they can come up to me.
Okay,
Better.
thank you, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful stuff. That's why I have you. I love this far infrared heating.
Yeah.
In fact, it's so good. And I said, there must be something like that for your bed instead of these electric blankets that are on top of you, which, as you know, are EMF and they're not good for you. So I scoured the internet. If you go to the Personal Power Project website and scroll down past his stuff, you'll see they've got them and we're using them. It's a pad that goes underneath you and it's even dual, left and right. So you can set to whatever temperature you want. They're wonderful. Just amazing. So, we're going to take a little break. We're going to get Lindsay up here. Now, Lindsay, it is easy for us to go on for an hour or 2 hours longer than you'd planned, because unless Fest Parker comes up here with the key and starts pulling us out of here, which they never do. So you guys are up for, staying over another 15, 20 minutes if you want to. Does anybody in here have to go? Anybody real quick? Okay, so most of us don't. So take a quick break. I'm going to get Lindsay up here. We're going to hook up her equipment, and then we're going to let her roll with this.